Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, and happy hangover. Here's what's coming up. What were the most interesting stories of 2015? Beats me, but we'll discuss them in a loose, non-scripted format. To my knowledge, it's never been done before in the history of TV. Plus, a look back at my interview with the guy who killed Osama bin Laden, Rob O'Neill. We played Candyland. It was awesome. And later, a behind-the-scenes look at my book tour and all the gorgeous people I met along the way. Let's get started, America. I've got a midnight Pilates class in Scranton. "2015 was, in a word, brutal. Brutal because of terror. The attack at Charlie Hebdo, the Russian plane, Paris again, San Bernardino. It's a reminder that choosing a leader who can protect us is the most important thing we'll do later this year. It was also the year of the protests. Protests in Ferguson, protests in Baltimore, protests on campus around the country that were too numerous and often tedious to count. But 2015 wasn't all bad. Let's not forget, Disney World banned selfie sticks. Hooray. Mad Men finally ended, and Zayn left One Direction. It was a great move for him.
Exclamation point.
Yes, joining me to discuss the top stories of 2015. She's the Michael Jordan of walking backwards. Gretchen Carlson, anchor of The Real Story, as well as the author of the great best-selling book, Getting Real. Well, he's larger than life and also small buildings. It's Tyrus, TNA wrestler and our big news correspondent. And her favorite place of vacation is inside a bottle. Joanne Nosuchinsky. And she's the Smurf with a smirk. National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. All right, Gretchen, I'm going to go to you first.
All right.
What's your top story of the year?
The war on terror is back, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as much as the Obama administration wanted it to end the minute that he was elected president, unfortunately, under his administration, it's come back with a vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
He has said recently at a press conference, the year-ender, that al-Qaeda was still more volatile than ISIS will ever be. And I'm not so sure that that's true. I don't know if he can just run out the clock on the administration waiting to really battle this in the way in which I think many Americans now believe we need to do.
See, I was going to pick terror because I don't believe the war on terror has started.
Oh, well, what do you mean by that?
Because I don't think we've done enough.
Well, true. But the reason I say that is because he doesn't want to bring back the word war. Yeah. I mean, I think it really is a scary time for Americans right now, and it's really changing their emotion. Look at the #1 issue of people thinking about going to the polls later this year. Terror.
Anybody thoughts on this?
I agree. Me personally, just looking at the way things have fallen down, you can't say one is worse than the other or one is better. They're both bad, and they're both doing terrible things. And for America, as us, to be like, well, we'll just see what happens. I think we're past that.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's gotten to the point where we should be making drastic moves in those areas. You know, if we don't want to say the W word, we'll call it something else. You know?
Yeah, let's call it something else as long as
Mixer.
we do something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Huddle, yeah.
Did you say mixer?
Hugs from above.
Hugs from above.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Meet your maker. Like, whatever we got to do. But I just really feel it's past the debate.
Yeah.
We've done that. And all it does is give them more time
to plan.
It gives them more publicity. Every time they do something, it's all you see. And you should see the following video, the white blaze, because every bomb that was dropped in that entire area. I mean, and that's just where we have to be. And we'll just blow it up, call it New Texas, and fix it.
New Texas.
Well, yeah, things either get better or they get worse. They don't stay the same. And we are now at a point in 2016 where we need to decide that it will get better. And the way to do that, unfortunately, may be to have to use the W word.
Yeah.
And we can only then get better from there.
I agree that Obama doesn't want to, though. He also is concerned about, I said I was going to close Gitmo. I want to do that. He wants to leave being this peace. He got a Nobel Peace Prize. Remember that? Right. That's hilarious. And
that was his peak.
Yeah, it was his peak. People driving around with the little peace sign Obama stickers on their cars. He wants those people to not be embarrassed.
But the amazing thing about that is that the end result may actually be that we have more terror and more not peace in the world as what his administration is done with.
I think that's clear that we definitely do.
Yeah. All right, I want to move on to Tyrus. What is your favorite story or your pick?
I went with Black Lives Matter. And honestly, I made a shirt because that's what I do in my free time when I'm not fishing.
Yeah.
My life matters with a big brain.
Yeah, that's
because
nice.
What it basically comes down to is compliance and resistance. And if you look at, I would say 99% of all the video stuff that you've seen, where you've seen police brutality and things like that, it's during what? Non-compliance.
Right.
And what that simply means, I'm 6'8", 390 business pounds.
Yeah.
I'm light-skinned, I have a beard, I listen to music loud. When I get pulled over, it's never fun.
Yeah.
It sucks for me.
Yeah.
Because the cop gets out and goes, huh, because he'll see this sitting there.
Yeah.
Because I don't want him to go, huh, because he doesn't know.
Right.
There's a giant tattoo, and he has to investigate to see who I am and what I'm about.
Yeah.
Hands are on the steering wheel. I ask to do everything. If he asks me to get out of the car, I get out of the car.
Right.
That's compliance.
Yeah.
In all these cases, it's simple.
It must be great when you get out of the car.
Oh, it's awesome. For him,
Yes.
because he does, and it's not this, it's,
Yes.
and I do this amazing thing, because then I go, what would you like to do, officer? You know, but I'm being compliant. Do I like it?
Yeah.
No. But it's not, he's the officer, he's the police.
Right.
He's the law. He has the right to investigate. When I'm compliant, nothing bad's going to happen to me. It's not my moment to resist arrest, and when everyone videotapes me resisting arrest and being taken down, that's where bad things happen. That doesn't make me Rosa Parks.
Right.
That makes me a criminal. And it has nothing to do with color. And I just want to make one thing that really bothered me. Like last night I talked to several, I wanted some more information because I'm on one side of it. I'm not a police officer.
Right.
So I actually had a chance to talk to a few of police officers. And the number one thing they all said, none of them knew each other and they were different colors and origins, whatever, said the same thing. Black Lives Matter is an insult to every guy who puts on a badge and runs to those bullets being fired in those neighborhoods. And these are high crime areas.
Yeah.
These are things that are happening. They're in a war.
Yeah.
Every day. So my argument or my challenge would be to Black lives leaders, which is not many of them. I mean, even the Johnny-come-latelys like Jesse Jackson didn't get involved. You know it's bad when Jesse Jackson, who's never wanted a free lunch in his life, not going to come to something. For them to be cops for a week. For them to roll around these neighborhoods and see what they go through. Because it's not okay. The resistance and the videotape, our system is designed for us. So if you're arresting me and you're rough with me and it's on video, I go through the proper channels, I will sue you.
Yes.
You won't have your job anymore.
That is true.
But me fighting you back and picking that moment to be, and most people that are resistant is because they have something to hide.
But I think there's always, there's bad apples in every profession. And it's really been exacerbated this year by showing these, few and far between, I think, situations. And, it's also interesting because when the Democratic candidates are asked, do Black Lives Matter or do all lives matter? They feel compelled now to say that Black Lives Matter. And my daughter was watching that one night. She's 12 years old. She said, Mommy, does that mean my life doesn't matter? I mean, it's crazy when you think
said
about
yes,
it.
which was a terrible thing for a mother to say.
But I mean, it is a crazy thing. Of course, all lives matter.
And I'll just real quick, when you say, like, I feel oppressed, right, because I'm the only guy with a beard and a chain on this panel.
Yes.
When you feel oppressed and you segregate, if they would have said justice for all or justice for one, the average guy who picks up the newspaper, hey, maybe I want to be a part of this. But once you read Black Lives Matter, you automatically, if you're white, Hispanic, Asian, gorilla, whatever you want to be, you're going to be like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
You're segregating.
That's true.
And it's not, it's just not a good thing.
Yes. Less division, more unity. All right. Joanne, I'm afraid to ask what matters to you.
In 2015, there was a huge jerk who we all remember was attacking a very beloved Fox News personality, and I think we have some tape.
She's here because she got locked out of the car she sleeps in, and she's only here because she threw up in the cab on the way home from a bar. She's only here because her Match.com date stood her up at Arby's. She's a big fan of free drinks and crying in public bathrooms, and she makes her own boxed wine by pouring wine in a box and then drinking it. And she'd drink you under the table if she could afford a table. She spends all her money on gin. It's Joanne Nosuchinsky.
I have a great resume right there.
There you go.
Yeah, I was smiling, but it hurt.
I'm glad.
It hurt my feelings.
Way to be honest about your feelings.
And speaking of hacks, my real big story for 2015 was the Ashley Madison hack.
Right.
It just goes to show that cheaters never win. and they're often catfished by a robot. Turns out it was all men who were on this site, only a handful of women. And I think that we're going to start to see a lot more of this now. The hacking is the new lie detector test on Maury. It's the public shaming that's going to keep happening, and I, for one, kind of enjoy it.
I don't judge anybody. Whatever.
Yeah, you don't judge anybody.
I don't know their marriages. I think it's horrible that they're hacking into their private business.
Well,
they're cheaters. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would not like to be cheated on, but you don't know the situation.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
I
you
always
don't
like
know.
to err on the side of
You don't
no
know why
judging.
somebody would
But how many
stay up
stupid
till 3 in the
people
morning
use their-
talking to a stranger on the internet because the person he's with doesn't want to talk to him anymore, or talks about his weight, or he's always traveling. Maybe the occasional email from a discreet person is fine. Why does everyone have to be checking it?
But at least let's be smart about
I
it.
would never.
Don't use your work email.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these people, they were working for the
Gretchen
government.
giving tips on how to cheat.
So make your own secret email?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Interesting. See, I use carrier pigeon. No one knows about what I do. Kat, what is your story?
Okay. Best story ever, right? America's favorite fake black white lady, Rachel Dolezal. The gift that keeps on giving. Hilarious. How many times I can't stop watching that video where they ask her, if she's black, and she says, I don't understand the question.
Yes.
It's so good. And just recently, she came out and said she doesn't believe race is real.
Right.
Why did you build your whole identity and whole life around it? She never stops saying stuff that's hilarious. Isn't it just the best thing that happened to us?
She gave us a good 2-week run of stories.
I think we're going to see more of her, though, in 2016, because identity doesn't matter if you don't have recognition. And she's going to want all of that attention in order to keep feeling significant.
Can I be a black lesbian?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it.
Whatever you want.
As a black-white person,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, we've come a long way. Y'all want to be us. I was like, that's great. Come on in.
Exactly.
Watch your credit drop.
I think it was,
Just kidding. I'm just saying, she wants to be black. Let her be black. I mean, you want to be a
But I
man,
want
wants
to
to be
make
a
fun
woman.
of her, though, and
you
that's
have a
fine,
right.
too.
And you
gotta make fun of her. Got to.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the point. All right, I'm going to pick my story. Because terror was going to be mine.
Really?
But then, if there was no terror, it would have to be, in my view, Donald Trump. Because it's a phenomenon that no one accurately gauged, including myself. I talked to him about running for office, and I thought, oh, yeah, it'll be great. I go, but are you really going to do it? He goes, oh, I'm not going to talk about it. But it was like, I got what I wanted. And yet when you saw it, you're like going, I can't believe this is happening. And you don't know where it is going.
Well, and he said he would make you press secretary.
Yes.
So we're going to see if he sticks to his word.
Yeah. But I mean, he's giving people what they want. A reality in politics that we didn't expect, which is what I would call a non-boring candidate. And so I don't think we're used to this.
Well, but I think it's also his popularity. Everyone knew who he was, name recognition, so that he had that going for him. But the biggest thing about Donald Trump is that he tells you what he's thinking. And for so long in politics, it's been so fake that I think that's really been the appeal.
But some of the things he says, it's not right. But it's like nobody cares.
Well,
no.
It's like
that's
inside
the
voice.
thing.
Yeah, it's inside.
Total inside voice.
He's telling it like it is. And I think, and we talked about this all the time, Americans, we've become so sensitive. We're more like England now. Everyone's real. And he's saying things that people feel.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, well, he can't say that. Well, to be honest with you, these are the way I'm feeling, and if that's my commander in chief and he feels the same way, I feel a little bit better about my situation because maybe something will get done.
Yeah, and he created a contrast between him and everybody else. Even people who aren't establishment are now considered establishment. Like, I never considered Rubio establishment. He's establishment. Anybody who is not like Don, and Donald's not even that conservative.
Anybody who tweets one negative thing about him is, yo, why don't you go Rubio Jeb? Also, I mean, just his faces are awesome, too. The face that he makes, the resting bulldog face. I've never looked at anyone, I've never looked at anyone's face and wondered, what it looks like when they sleep. Do you think he looks like, and he is the first person to ever make me wonder that.
He said that.
He may not have ever slept.
Does the hair go over the face when he
I don't know.
The hair has stayed the same, I can tell you that for sure.
I talked to a friend of mine at the gym the other day, and he's like, he says, Donald just goes too far, but I can't help but like him. I mean, I know, and then he says, but I also know when he goes too far, he doesn't really mean it. He's just saying it, and I think everybody's like going, he doesn't, does he really want to ban all Muslims?
Well,
Yeah,
and
he
isn't
just-
that what everyone does at a cocktail party?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Everyone has a few drinks, and then that they're the highlight of the conversation, and then they just keep going.
You know what
They
it
just
is?
Keep elaborating.
It's a candidate as pundit. He's just acting like me or anybody on Fox News who doesn't actually report but just pontificates.
But see, I think he actually has greater support than the polls actually show right now.
Yeah.
Because I think when a lot of people are called, they look around the corner like, is anyone listening to me saying that I like Trump? I think his numbers could actually be higher.
Well,
and he's everywhere.
Yeah.
Even the shows that are trying to bash him are helping him.
exactly.
He's everywhere.
He's in my dreams.
He's been in my dreams.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I'm
I
not
have
sure.
no idea. All right. Gretchen,
Yes.
your top TV moment of the year was what?
I think it had something to do with when you wanted to join the club. When you started this show, you were so eager to be able to be cool and
I'm
with
lonely.
it. And I think I very nicely told you to just kind of get out.
Hello.
Sizzling. All right.
Short style.
All right. All right.
All right, what do you want?
All right.
Yeah, I'm
I can
gonna
do
need
it.
I
to-
like this. I like
Hey guys,
this.
I can do it. I can do it. What do you
So
want?
this is where all you guys hang out.
Dude, this is for hosts only, man.
I have a new show. I'm actually a host now. I have my own show.
No way.
Hey, you know what? You should just get out of here. The door's right there. Okay?
Can I get another card?
I love that. You know what the best part about that was?
Swearing.
So many people took that so seriously. Yeah, they just went on Twitter and they were like, "Oh, I can't believe you said that."
No. By the way, nobody really knows what you said because we bleeped it.
Well, you wanted to make sure that it ended in K.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So you never know if she actually said the
She
word.
might have hecked you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Really, real stern heck.
Yeah, real
It was either that or the other one.
Yes. All right. Don't go anywhere. We're taking a look back at some of the best moments from the show so far, including what was the worst show on TV in 2015 and why I was powerless to stop watching. Well, because I'm a small, weak person. Dear HBO, I'm writing to you about the latest season of True Detective. What the hell happened? I watched 3.5 episodes, and it's as tedious as Charlie Rose popping a zit. It was slow and grim. Every character's miserable, like a knitting circle of goths. I'd like my money back and everyone involved in the show tarred and feathered. Here's why. Because not only does the show suck, it made me realize that I suck too. Or rather, that I'm a sucker, because True Detective exposed my silly need to complete things. Because I'm halfway through the thing, I feel like I gotta finish, even though I should be doing something better, like eating light bulbs. That's your real crime, HBO. Getting people to commit to a show so that stopping has the same feeling as giving up on something worthwhile, like piano lessons or kiddie soccer.
Na perna esquerda, ele Tafarel! Sai!
Oh, wow. So, we fear a sense of failure if we quit, or else those last 3 hours were a waste. But that is wrong. Think of it like driving the wrong way on a freeway. Turning around is not an admission of loss. It's a life-saving correction. So to sum it up, HBO, True Detective is bad, but I'm also bad for watching it, so I share in the blame. But you can make it up for me if you bring back Eastbound and Down. Period. The only person I know who watched this show besides me is Joanne.
I watched it for this show.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. The second season is amazing. Matthew McConaughey is unrecognizable.
That's true.
His character work, growing that dark mustache.
Yes.
I'm all for it.
Yes.
I'm excited to continue watching.
Father, do you watch any of this filth on HBO, or do you stick to the 700 Club?
What's HBO?
HBO.
Is that a tele?
Yes.
It's a channel?
Yeah.
I binge on confessions, maths, Italian food, not to be stereotypical.
Yes.
But those are the type of things I binge on.
That's right. Your life is a soap opera. You don't need to watch storylines.
Exactly.
You just listen to people's horrible secrets.
What I say is, you think you're the worst in the world, but you're not. The guy right before you was just like you, and
Yes.
the lady before him was exactly like the two of you.
And then that guy goes, well, I came here with my family. That was my brother and my sister.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you,
I'm
grandfather.
I'm not supposed to talk about the one before.
Yeah, you can't talk
Oh,
about the
my
one before. I learned that when I pretended to be a priest for a few years. Joe, do you binge watch anything? Do you watch anything that you feel you must watch, even though it's terrible?
Well, I also binge on Confessions, too, because they're really not too particular about who wanders in the other side of that group. Yeah, well, I like the real crime shows, but I don't feel like they go far enough. Like I like that show, The First 48.
Yes.
That I'm actually pitching a new one. It's called The Last 48. It's mostly paperwork.
Yeah.
So if you like to watch cops staple, you get a real sense of closure.
Oh, I love that clicking noise. I used to love Cops just because of the sound of the utility belt as they ran. Yeah. I believe it's an actual fetish, but I actually enjoyed the sound of
and then the heavy breathing.
The jostling.
There's something about
I love the jostling. Michael, do you watch anything other than shows about loud ties?
It's not loud. This is Twin Peaks, baby. No, I binge watch Intervention with like a six-pack, and I always root for the people not to go and watch the families cry. It's really fun. So I am the worst person, like you said in the green room. Yeah.
Oh, we should talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Beyond help, I think.
Yeah, you
Porter's
are.
is a good time, too.
Catherine, anything to add to this ridiculous story?
I watch Intervention, too, but I always root for them to go to rehab. You still get to see them cry first.
Yes.
You should ultimately want them to turn their lives around. You are a terrible
Catherine,
person.
I love that. That's exactly it. That's the point. We should all want to turn our lives around and try to be better people.
I like Intervention.
They're not on the couch, but there's somebody good here.
Before I move on, I love Intervention when the person runs out and the family chases them down the street. And you have to watch the film crew because they're usually about 50 pounds overweight. The film crew probably needs an intervention because they're always chain smoking somewhere. And they're running with the camera, and then they stop and they yell and scream, and some of the addictions are amazing, like window cleaner. Well, that was enlightening, almost as much as when that great comedian Colin Quinn stopped by the show to discuss his Netflix special.
Establish justice, that laws, lawyers, lawsuits, ensure domestic tranquility. You know how much money it costs to keep 300 million people tranquil every year? You need jobs, you need, gadgets for everybody, food, antidepressants, tranquilizers.
Thanks for the clip, the most boring part of my whole hour-long hilarious special.
I picked it because of the cups.
What's that?
I picked it because of the cups.
It was the least offensive cup shot.
Yes, your cups are like...
I'm the worst.
You're not married. That's proof, because your wife wouldn't have let you dress like that.
Or if I was gay, I wouldn't have dressed like that on my own.
Exactly.
You're right.
All right. So I watched Unconstitutional. It was a great one-man play. It's now on Netflix.
Thanks.
In your special, you seem to suggest that the country is headed in a direction in which it's coming apart. Do you see
It's finished.
It's finished.
This country's about to get divorced. I did that show. First, I did in the 13 colonies. It was kind of a hook, marketing hook.
Oh.
13 didn't work as well as I hoped it would financially, but then I did all of the and every show I talk about how we're going to break up as a country because I really do believe we're going to get divorced as a country because the center cannot hold, as the great Irish poet Yeats once said. And I'm kind of an ass, but then I went to Texas, and I go, we're going to get divorced as a country. Most places was shocked. Texas, they start applauding.
Of course.
Texas really wants to be its own country.
They want to leave.
Yeah, they want to leave. But I think that so many people are probably going to learn about the Constitution, maybe hear about it for the first time from watching your special.
Well, is it memorized? Like, do you know
My
the
show?
entire Constitution?
Yeah, it's only 4 pages.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Should I read it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's 4 pages.
Before I watch your show, will I understand your show
my
better?
show's better.
Okay.
Better that's
than
a good
the Constitution?
Question. Better to watch my show than read the Constitution.
Okay.
My show is better than the Constitution in many ways.
Well, let's be honest.
I hate to say
It's written in a language that we don't understand. You know, it's hard to understand.
It's in English, actually.
Yeah, it's in English. It's just like the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
I have a hard time reading the Bible.
I read it in Aramaic because of,
Yes.
because of Mel Gibson.
Oh, really? That's beautiful. I stick to the Latin version.
Yeah.
When you say divorce, do you mean violent revolution?
No, not revolution. I mean a civil war. Probably like 5 civil wars.
Yes.
Probably like the
5.
Big East, the ACC.
Yes.
Pac-10. They still exist.
5 civil wars?
Yeah, 5 civil wars. What's wrong with that?
They're going to be civil.
The Apostle John, exactly.
A lot of yelling and crying and
I never
stuff.
thought about that. Civil, right? Civil war, that's good.
Yeah, it is pretty good for a girl.
Oh.
Is that what you're saying?
No.
Is that what you're saying? It's okay.
Apparently they didn't get the memo.
Feminist, right?
Your book, I want to talk about your book briefly, the
Okay.
coloring book. You talk about how hard it is to talk about race. And even when you talk about race, and I saw this in some interviews, they kind of try to paint you as a racist, correct?
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's hard even to talk about
We'll
a
leave
book
Fox and
about.
Friends out of this.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say, no.
You got
I mean,
doozy.
people don't really paint me as racist. I mean, my book is just my life experience. You know what I mean? So it's like everything I say is just. Why do you have to make a face? Why do you arch your eyebrow when I said it was my life
It's
experience?
impossible to have a racist life experience. No one never has.
No, that's true. But the book and your play are together because it really is about racial division, correct?
It's about racial and national division, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we're supposed to be a melting pot, but it's like all the ingredients in the recipe don't want to be together anymore.
Well, there's a lot of identity. I mean, that's the whole conflict in the country, or one of the conflicts, which I could easily synthesize right now, is two ways of looking at the country. Either it's perfect and infallible, like the Pope. I don't know if she's Italian, she believes in him.
I know.
And or it's just like this horrible race. Like there's no place to ever have both at the same time.
Can we start over?
We could start over if, right here.
Or I think some of these people should just stay home.
Well,
some of the
that's another
most
way.
mad people can stay home.
Right.
They can have whatever they want in their house under a blanket. They don't have
They
to
can
see
watch your
anything.
special.
Yes.
On Netflix.
A nice plug. I wonder if we should just end there.
Yeah, stay home and watch my special on Netflix.
Don't move a muscle. Still to come. Has Playboy changed their minds about getting rid of the nude models? Probably not. Stick around. Playboy will no longer publish photos of nude women. Why? Because thanks to the internet, pictures of naked women in a magazine are as useless as a third nipple on a blind cat. Playboy execs say the change will happen in March 2016, oddly the same date they plan to replace Hugh Hefner's head with a robot succubus. They say the print edition of Playboy will still feature women in provocative poses, but they will no longer be fully nude. Instead, they'll wear things like shirts. Essentially, it's now Maxim for retirement homes. Incidentally, full nudity was banned from the magazine's website last August, and the site's traffic actually quadrupled, which is the first time putting clothes on a woman actually increased circulation. Stupid joke, but I left it in there anyway. Megan, Playboy's approached you before, right?
I did an interview with Playboy for 20 Questions, which whenever people give me crap about that, I say Dick Cheney has also given interviews to Playboy magazine as well. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I think it just shows that sex and nudity isn't that exciting anymore. We're so oversensitized with it in the internet. And less is more, ladies. Less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah. Put your pants back on, Joe.
I feel like I'm being ganged up on here.
Yeah, in your dreams. Okay.
In the best possible way.
Yeah. So, Ebony, the Playboy is trying to portray this as a victory. Like, I have spit on me. They're trying to. I'm already drooling. Playboy is trying to portray this as a victory, that somehow it's unnecessary now because porn is everywhere. It's like a victory for chronic masturbators, and this is supposed to be good news.
Yeah, I think they think they're taking the high road. But the thing is, Greg, for my male friends I talk to, Playboy is not the first magazine you'd pick up anyway for that type of pleasure activity. You know what I'm saying? So they really are, to Megan's point, a legitimate place for articles and stuff. I think
Really?
There was a day
where time for really good political journalists.
I want to chronicle the man hours that are lost due to the massive porn obsession in this country. Like, how much time is lost because men are busy doing things.
Am I the only one that thinks this is sad, though? I
No.
actually kind of like Playboy in the sense that I think it was a really nice, classy way to do nude.
It is the rotary phone of pornography.
I felt very distinguished.
Esquire GQ. If you're going to go like sort of fake nude for a professional woman, Esquire GQ, not Playboy.
It's the
My opinion.
horse-drawn buggy of perversion, Joe.
Well, I think it's a good thing. I don't care for smut to begin with. And second of all, maybe they could put the centerfold just an educated woman talking about how much money she makes. That's a turn on for me.
It certainly is. Joanne, you're a millennial, whatever that is. They say that's part of the reason of the change. The millennials are no longer interested in this.
Well, yeah, because of technology, you can get that instant gratification of seeing a nude woman at the click of a mouse, you know? I do think, like Megan said, it's important to bring back the art of the tease.
Yes.
You know, that would be great for young millennial men to understand.
True.
Once again, I just feel bad for me personally. As a millennial, I am selfish. And I won't ever have that sort of mind grappling I'll have to go through of whether or not to shame my father with the centerfold.
That's a great point.
You know?
There have been times when I was hosting Red Eye, the guests on Red Eye were going, they asked me to do Playboy, should I? And I just go, no, and but they would do it anyway, because sooner or later they would need the money. Speaking, Kat, Playboy Mansion. I like to think of the Playboy Mansion as like the picture of Dorian Gray. As the magazine tries to stay the same age, the mansion just falls apart. And it's known for its bunnies. Are there any other animals there?
Oh, yeah. The dude's a freak. He has a zoo in his backyard. Right after he has an actual zoo license. He has doves, peacocks, all kinds of animals. Because I guess, he just needs more. If you see all these naked people all the time, it's something to be excited about, which is why I've never looked at a naked person.
Really? That's interesting.
I've not even myself.
Yeah, when you look, naked people, by the way, it's just unusual looking.
I wouldn't know.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's the human body. Whoever said the human body is beautiful, they were lying. It's a strange thing. There are certain things that make no sense. We'll talk about that later for another hour. Maybe we'll do a whole hour on that. Liberal panel, you used to subscribe to Playwood, right?
Playwood. Well, I could use a coat of paint. Otherwise, I'm kind of naked here, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, you're naked in your stupidity.
This puts a whole bunch of airbrushes out of work.
That is true. Didn't think about that.
The whole industry.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that. Well, I learned nothing. Still to come, my interview with Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill. Hey, that rhymes. But first, as many of you may know, we often make helpful videos that explain complex topics to children. One of my favorites tackled the Entourage movie. I call it News for Kids.
So, what is an entourage and why is there a movie about it? Well, the word entourage comes from a French word meaning bros who mooch off a friend and pretend that's acceptable. Back in caveman times, there was a rapper named Mark who was so handsome he became an actor. One day he realized he and his friends were so funny that they should film it. So Mark produced a TV show based on his life in an evil place called Hollywood. A producer is someone who does the least amount of work possible, but takes lots of credit. The show had tons of chicks, cars, private jets, misogyny, and unnecessary cameos. Cameos are something filmmakers use so they can hang out with pro athletes like Tom Brady and LeBron James. The show starred the lesser-known brother of a famous actor, the bully from Rocky V, a guy from Queens, Jeremy Piven, and a handsome dude. The fact that the handsome dude's career has disappeared since the end of the show is in no way to suggest he was as vacuous and untalented as the character he played. Just that he is more vacuous and untalented. And so, even though the characters never changed after 8 long years and the show finally ended, Broheims everywhere wanted more. Thus, the Entourage movie was created. Fun fact, the film is now being authorized as a device to replace lethal injections for death row inmates. And that is News for Kids.
Welcome back. I'm still Greg Gutfeld. So we had a lot of great guests on this show in 2015, but my favorite appeared on our very first episode. Rob O'Neill is an American hero. He killed Osama bin Laden, and he's tall, so I admire him a lot. When he agreed to do the interview, naturally, I asked him to first play a game of Candyland with me. It's your move. Another blue.
No, it's an ice cream cone.
What do you get there?
I think you gotta go to the ice cream cone.
That is so wrong. This is gonna take forever. And double red.
That's a winner.
Nah. I beat the guy who killed bin Laden.
Well played, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
And thank you for your service. I'm interested, what is your life like after this happened? How has your life changed?
Well, it's been different because I get recognized a lot more places, and I was very concerned about that initially. How would it be? And it's been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
And actually, the best story that I haven't told yet, I had a woman in front of me in line, and she was kind of staring at me, and she elbowed her daughter. The daughter looked at me and said, we have a test about you on Monday.
Wow.
And I said, a test? What do you mean? And she said, current events class, we have a test about you. And I said, well, do you have a pen and paper? And she said, yeah. And I said, what's your name? And she said, Victoria. Mm-hmm. And I wrote, please give Victoria an A. And I signed it. And she said, what do I do now? And I said, now we take a selfie. And she said, well, when my teacher asked me what happened, what do I say? And I said, well, you tell her you took the assignment so seriously that you found me.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that, it's weird like that, but I get a lot of people coming up to me and just saying thank you for everything, and it's a noble cause and all that, so it's worth it.
Yeah, well, I actually followed up with Victoria. It turns out she was expelled for this. They didn't believe her, and now she's actually in some kind
of... And the selfie wasn't me, it was obviously Brad Pitt.
Exactly. Well, now that you bring that up, if they're making a movie, which I think at some point they're going to be making another movie, who would you like to play you? I have some options.
I have one too, and I bet he's on your list.
Which one is yours?
Jake Busey.
Jake Busey?
Yeah.
That's good. You do have, but you don't look as mentally ill as Jake Busey.
And my dad's not as crazy either.
Exactly. You don't have that weird hereditary, wild-eyed insanity look. I was thinking more like a young Ron Howard. If you look a little bit like Ron Howard. Maybe Clint Howard. Have you ever seen Clint? That's his other brother, Clint Howard.
What about Cuba Gooding Jr.?
That would be nice. That would be. You know what? Why shouldn't it be Cuba Gooding?
That's what I'm thinking.
If you were president of the United States, what would you do with ISIS?
Well, with ISIS, we were playing Candyland, and that was the castle where they controlled it. I would make sure all of these players were U.S. Marines. I would send them up on a big Navy ship.
Yes.
Let the Marines get off and handle ISIS in the day and a half it would take.
Yeah.
And then I would try to work on a foreign policy with the rest of the unicorns and bobbleheads that can make it a happier place. And we all realize that even though it is Candyland, it's 2015, and there's no reason to murder each other just because we don't believe in the same thing.
I want to ask you, okay, this operation that you took part in when you killed bin Laden was called Neptune Spear.
Yes.
Who gets to name these?
I don't know, but they do come up with some good ones every now and then.
Yeah, I came up with a few. Unicorn Girdle, Operation Unicorn Girdle. It's like tightening the noose around a flabby unicorn. Operation Pegasus Chaps. Chaps are the pants without the back. And then just Operation Gutfeld, which could be anything.
That sounds good. It could be anything at all.
You could use that whenever you want. I think that would work. So, Rob, I kind of have an idea of how the bin Laden raid went down, but there are probably people who don't. And I was thinking, we don't have much of a budget. So if you could show us exactly what went down that night using the Candyland game board. We didn't have enough pieces to create the entire scenario. So I have some unicorns.
Sure.
Those are the helicopters. Over here, the game pieces, those are the brave, heroic SEALs who did the job. And this is bin Laden. Right back here, this is bin Laden. So what happened?
Well, we'd probably have to start with the spin first.
Yeah.
And then once we did, I think they would come in here and he would go like that.
So that the helicopter went down.
Right. And then they would go up the stairs like this and split off there. And then he would tackle them, and then the little cherry thing ends up right there.
Yeah, and that's you. And you take, by the way, this is bin Laden, but we couldn't find a bin Laden doll, so we used Walter White. Well, Rob, this has been incredibly instructional and entertaining, but I would assume that this constitutes some kind of evidence that we should get rid of.
Absolutely.
Should we burn this?
Up next, the best part of 2015 was when I met you on my book tour. We'll light some candles and reminisce. Sit tight, sit-tighters. Earlier this month, I had the privilege of meeting thousands of fans while on tour for my new book, How to Be Right. It's still on sale wherever books are sold, Gavin. Needless to say, it was a blast, and I can't thank everyone enough for coming out. You're the reason I get to do this stuff for a living. Wow. Anyway, on our way through Kentucky and Indiana, I invited a camera crew and one of our producers, Tom O'Connor, to tag along.
Thanks, Greg. We're really excited that you invited us to join you on the tour because, frankly, everyone back at the office didn't think it was real. Apparently it is, but did you really need all that?
You know, we're just minutes away from another signing. A lot of people ask me, do I have any rituals before I do a signing? Well, I sign with my right hand. But what about this hand? So obviously this hand is getting stronger. This hand is doing nothing. So what do you do with this hand? Well, before each signing, I do little hand push-ups with my left hand just to get it in shape. Signing books, gonna sign some books. Where am I? Got my bananas.
See, we're sneaking up on the last guy in line.
What are you doing here? Is there anybody special?
Oh, no, there isn't. I'm sorry.
There's some dude with a bus out there.
Oh, I know.
He's parked in the fire lane. It's just terrible. It's terrible. Would you like a banana?
Thank you.
Yeah. This is a special banana. You'll get it signed. There you go.
Greg, hey.
How are you? Good to see you again. It's been so long. It really has. How you doing? You're not allowed to look at me while I'm signing. I get very self-conscious.
So you just met Greg. Was it everything you hoped for or not so much?
We told him we wanted to be home in time for the 5.
And what did he say?
That it wouldn't be as good.
Anything about Greg that surprised you when you met him today?
He's actually a lot more handsome in person than he is on TV.
Tell me about it.
Just don't tell my husband.
So you got to meet Greg. How was it?
It was wonderful. He gave me a banana and he signed my banana. Is that not awesome?
What a guy. When you got up this morning, you had no idea Greg would give you a signed banana.
No, I'm the luckiest woman in the world.
Has anyone ever given you a signed piece of fruit?
No.
First time for everything. So, we're finally on the bus. Is there anything that surprises you when you meet the fans on these tours?
I am surprised that they think I'm good.
Greg, I love you.
I love you too.
Every day.
I love you more than you know.
At 5 o'clock, they announce your name. I scream, I love you, Greg. My husband thinks I'm crazy.
Well, the people are really, really sweet. Very nice, and they keep bringing me gifts.
You'll never guess what it is.
I hope it's expensive red wine.
You guessed that? Oh, my God.
You know what else? She gave me bourbon balls, which I thought for the longest time was a medical condition.
I had that in '88.
Doctor, I have bourbon balls. Get in here right away.
Who has a better job at Fox? Well, I can think of one person.
I know the guy who...
There's only one person.
Yeah, in Florida. What's his name?
Phil Keating.
Phil Keating has a great job.
But in sexy South Beach, what else? A sexy solution.
You have the second best job at Fox.
Yeah, I think I do. It's great. I get to sit next to Dana Perino across from Kimberly Guilfoyle. That's pretty good. I am Archie. I have Betty and Veronica.
Where's Kimberly and Dana?
Only men ask that question. No women go, where's Kimberly? It's always men of a certain age. See you later. Hello.
Do you ever wish you wrote the books at 25 instead of 50 so you could have had that type of tour?
Oh, you mean like
the bad tour?
The bad tour.
Motley Crue version of the book tour?
Yeah. No, because I will tell you what, if whatever book I wrote at 25 would be terrible.
Terrible.
And also, if I wrote a book that was successful at 25, I would be the world's biggest now.
Has there been any wackos?
This has been wacko-free. There have been wackos before. It's always the last stop, and then some guy shows up dressed as a clown, and he's holding up 6 pounds of raw meat.
I'm sorry
and he's saying,
about that, by the way.
Yeah.
I was just a fan. Thank you for hiring me.
That's how we met.
Ah, memories. And by the way, save that banana, ma'am. It'll be worth something in a few years, and it'll smell great. Don't move. More fun things after this. And if you'll be in the Central Florida area later this month, come meet me and Dana Perino in person at the Villages, Florida on Sunday, January 31st. For tickets, call the box office at 352-750-5411. Finally, tonight, a quick look back at the story that intrigued me most in 2015. Back in October, CNN revealed before the Democratic debate that they were keeping an extra podium on the ready in case Vice President Biden showed up. He never did. But I was more interested in what happened to the podium. We tackled that story in our segment called Where Are They Now?
Here is that empty podium for Joe Biden in waiting just in case he decides to jump in the race.
That was on Tuesday. Biden never showed, but for the podium, Steve McStevens, it was a sad ending to a lifelong dream. That's because McStevens had hoped to follow in the footsteps of a long line of prestigious podiums. His great-grandfather served under FDR, his father under JFK, and his older brother was part of Ronald Reagan's most famous speech.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Sadly, because of the vice president, McStevens never got his chance to shine. Instead of the career that could have been, several dead-end jobs followed. First, he worked at the Bronx Zoo's woodpecker enclosure, but quit because it was too painful. Then later as a parking cone, but quit because it was too boring. and finally as a DJ, but quit because it was too easy. He was never seen again. Meanwhile, Hollywood A-listers are weighing in on McStevens' failed career.
We get into trouble when we don't have a sense of self, you know? And that's what this guy doesn't have. I mean, you just gotta be sometimes.
This has been Where Are They Now?
Thanks to Gretchen Carlson, Tyrus, Joanne, and Katherine. I'm Greg Gutfeld, and I love you, America. To the Goodfellas ending.
Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Greg. How you doing? Hey, great show.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
Hey, I got some beautiful Dior dresses if you want them.
My wife would love that.
All
I
right.
guess I just...
No, this way. Go down
This way?
Yeah, this way.
This way?
Yeah.
Where do I go?
Go straight down to the store there.
Down there? Okay.
Yeah, down there. Yeah, keep going.
I don't see anything here.
Just keep going.
All right.
Keep going, right there. Yeah, keep going. Right in there. Right in there. In there. Keep going. Go right in the store, right there.
Jimmy, maybe some other time. I got to run, but thanks a lot. I'll see you.
No. Around the corner, right there. Right there.
No, Jimmy, I'll see you, man.
Right there, right
Take
in
care.
there, Greg. Right there.